In this video, I'll talk about the basic and essential backpacking gear that you're going to need for overnight backpacking trips. With all of the equipment out there to choose from, it can get a little confusing and overwhelming. I'll give you some things to think about and consider when purchasing your first backpacking gear. I'm going to help you balance out your hiking comfort versus your camping comfort when making your initial backpacking gear purchases. I'm going to talk about several different items briefly. If there's something you have a question about, please leave it in the comment section below and I will answer in a little more detail. There are going to be items that you can shop online for, but as far as a backpack, I think that's an item you specifically need to go into your local outfitters or maybe your local REI and do your shopping there. The professionals there can help you choose a backpack that not only fits your needs, but actually fits you. A backpack is something you kind of need to try on for size and just see how it feels and fits before you make your purchase. As far as the amount of gear that your backpack will be able to carry, I recommend shooting for something around the 65-liter mark. That's going to be a good middle-of-the-road backpack. It's not a huge backpack. It's not a small backpack. It's going to be good for an overnight backpacking trip or a multi-day backpacking trip. If you don't need all of that volume for a short trip, it's okay. The weight difference is not that significant between say a 45-liter and a 65-liter backpack when you compare the versatility you're going to get out of the larger backpack. When purchasing your shelter, I recommend looking at a 2-person, 2-wall, 3-season, freestanding backpacking tent. A 2-person tent is going to be a lot more versatile and just a little bit more weight than, say, a 1-person tent would be. If you have a hiking partner, it's going to be able to accommodate 2 people. If it's just you hiking and camping, then you're going to have a lot of extra elbow room, which is always really nice. A 3-season backpacking tent is going to be good for spring, summer, and fall type weather. A freestanding tent does not have to be staked out and can be lifted up and moved around wherever you like. A non-freestanding tent must be staked out. Sometimes there's a little more trouble getting set up and cannot be moved around so easily. The outer shell of a 3-season, 2-wall type backpacking tent is known as a rainfly. The rainfly keeps the inside nice and dry, and it also allows for good ventilation. And it also acts as a vestibule where you can store things like your backpack or your dirty shoes. Another nice thing about a dual-wall backpacking tent is you don't necessarily have to use the rainfly in good weather, which makes for some awesome stargazing. One final item to consider purchasing for your tent is a footprint, which is basically a ground cloth cut a little bit smaller than the base of your tent. This will help protect the base of your tent from sharp objects like rocks and sticks. It can be purchased at the time you purchase your tent, or you can make one yourself using Tyvek material. A sleeping bag is another important part of your gear. A backpacking sleeping bag is going to be much lighter weight and more compressible than, say, your average car camping sleeping bag. Sleeping bags have a temperature rating. I recommend that you get a sleeping bag rated 10 degrees colder than the coldest temperature you think you're going to be camping in. If you're going to be taking a trip where you think the temperatures may be 30 degrees at the lowest, I recommend getting a 20-degree sleeping bag. Your sleeping bag is either going to have a down feather type insulation or it's going to have a synthetic fill type insulation. Now, the advantages to a down type insulation is it's going to be lighter weight typically than the same rated synthetic fill bag. It's also going to compress down smaller so you can fit it in your backpack a lot easier. It's also going to be a little more expensive. Now, one of the disadvantages to a down fill sleeping bag is if it gets wet, it offers little to no insulation value to you. A synthetic fill bag, if it gets wet, you can still use it and get some insulation out of it. If you ask about any backpacker, they'll probably tell you, including me, go ahead, spend the extra money, get a down-filled sleeping bag. It's the way to go. A sleeping pad goes right along with your sleeping bag. The temperature rating on your sleeping bag is not accurate unless you have some kind of a sleeping pad under it. There are a few options to choose from. There's a closed cell foam type pad, a self-inflating open cell foam pad, and an air pad. Some advantages of a closed cell foam pad like this one would be that it is pretty much indestructible. Rocks and sticks aren't going to puncture through this, so it can be used as a sit pad. Also, this type of a mattress is very affordable, very inexpensive. Some disadvantages to this type of a pad would be that it is very bulky. It's going to have to be carried on the outside of your backpack, and it is a little bit limited on the comfort level and also the amount of insulation that it gives you. The amount of insulation on all these pads is a rating known as an R value. The higher the R value, the more insulation that they have to offer. An open cell foam mattress is a nice option to go with. Some nice things about this type of mattress would be that it is self-inflating. It's kind of nice when you get to camp not having to blow this thing up. It only takes a couple puffs of air to get it fully inflated. It offers a pretty decent amount of comfort level, and it has some good insulation to it. Some of the disadvantages to these self-inflating pads are that they are a little bit bulky when you pack them down and put them inside your backpack. Also, the comfort level can be limited somewhat on these. And even though these come with a repair kit with patches, if you develop a leak out in the field especially, those little pinholes can be hard to find sometimes. And without air inside of this mattress, there's not much comfort or insulation. An air mattress type sleeping pad is also an excellent option. It offers you maximum comfort level. It can be purchased with or without an additional layer of insulation, which will increase the R value rating. It packs up nice and small and fits down in your pack nicely. The disadvantage to a mattress like this would be, once again, even though it comes with a repair kit, if it gets a pinhole or a puncture in some way, it's kind of hard to find, especially out in the field. And without air, this type of a mattress offers very little comfort or insulation. When putting together your camp kitchen, I recommend purchasing the disposable fuel canisters along with a small backpacking stove. These canisters come in a few different sizes. I like the small size because it's easy to pack away. These canisters are disposable. When they get low on fuel, I usually do the shake it and guesstimate it method on how much fuel is left. All of your backpacking stoves easily fold up and pack away. Most of them come in their own little carrying case. This method works really well for most camping applications. The only time you might want to consider a liquid fuel type setup is if you camp in high elevations with really cold temperatures. You're also going to need some kind of a cook set. There are plenty out there to choose from. It's probably going to be made out of a heavier stainless, a lighter weight aluminum, or even a lighter weight and more expensive titanium. If you're on a budget, you can go with something like this aluminum mess kit from Coleman for around $10. I recommend, if possible, go with something that has a Teflon coating. It's great for cooking and it's great for cleaning up. I usually carry something I can boil water in and possibly eat soup or something out of. I go with something that I can drink out of, and a Teflon coated pan that I can cook in and also eat out of, as well as a titanium spork. If you're camping with a hiking partner or maybe a larger group, you can always go with a larger cook set and maybe split up the load between you. As far as the type of food you're going to be eating when you set up your camp, well, that depends on what you're willing to carry and what you're willing to eat. It's always nice to get a little creative with your meals. It makes the whole camping, hiking experience a lot more fun. If you want to go very lightweight, you can always go with freeze-dried food. You just add boiling water and eat it right out of the package. Regardless of the type of food you end up bringing on your backpacking trip, you're going to have to store it at night to keep all the wild animals and little critters from trying to get to it. If you're camping in an area that's known for a lot of black bear activity, or if the park you're camping in requires you to use one, you may have to use a bear vault to store all of your food. These can be a little heavy and bulky inside your backpack, but it may be your only choice. If you're camping in an area that's not known for a lot of heavy bear activity and there are a lot of trees around, you may want to consider to use a heavy-duty stuff sack to store all of your food in. Bring along about 50 feet or so of nylon rope or paracord and hang your food from a tree. There are two good ways to carry your water while you're backpacking. One would be a water bladder type system, and the other is a heavy-duty Nalgene type water bottle. The water bladders work great. They fit down inside your backpack with a hose attached that reaches outside your backpack across your shoulder and a bite valve next to your mouth. Some of the packs are made so they will attach to the outside of your backpack. When I'm backpacking, I like to carry both styles. I like the water reservoir for pure water, and I also carry a sports drink inside my water bottles. If you're going to be gathering water from water sources along the trail or at your campsite, you're going to need some kind of a filtration system. There are several out there to choose from. Two of the most popular would be an inline gravity type filter or a pump style filter. I like the pump style. It works great. It's very easy to use and it's fast. It's also great for 2 or more people. This hose will go into your water source. It has a pre-filter on it. The other end will go into a Nalgene bottle or maybe a soft-sided Nalgene container. And then all you have to do is pump it full of water. The filter will remove anything that's going to be bad for you with the exception of a possible virus. To remove virus that could be in your water, you will have to boil it or chemically treat it. I recommend using the chlorine tablets. You put 1 tablet per 1 liter of water, let it set for 4 hours, and then you know 100% you're good to go. Think of your clothes as wearing layers. Your base layer against your skin is going to be lightweight, moisture wicking, and fast drying. Your mid layers are going to be for insulation and to help keep you warm. Your outer layer is going to protect you from the wind and rain. A good way to store your clothes is in a stuff sack, which also doubles as a pillow. Your hiking shoes or boots should be in good shape with lots of support and fit you well, especially not being too small. I recommend doing your feet and your body a favor by upgrading the insoles. And don't forget to bring an extra pair of socks. A few final items you should find in your backpack would be a good quality headlamp with extra batteries. There are rechargeable versions available. Some kind of a fire starter. A map, compass, maybe a GPS, and a first aid kit, either one you put together yourself or one you purchase complete. Well, I hope this video has helped you in some way and given you some things to consider when you're putting together your backpacking gear. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I hope you have a great time on your backpacking trip.